Hello and welcome back to ADK Aquatics, and today we are starting a new series where I go into depth about specific diseases that infect fish and shrimp in the aquarium hobby. And today we are starting off by talking about ick. In this video I will go over what ick is, how it gets into your aquariums and infects your fish, how to prevent it from infecting your fish, and how to treat it in the case that it does infect your fish. Ick is short for ICHTHYOPTHIRIUS multifilis, and it is a common parasite in the aquarium hobby. It is also called white spot disease by some people, but in this video I will be calling it ick because that is the most common name for it here in the States. Ick is easily identified in its mature form, as they are 1 mm wide white spots on the body of infected fish. Heavily infected fish will look like they have had a dusting of salt or sugar on their bodies. It can be deadly, but it is fairly easy to treat. It has a 5-part life cycle, including both free-swimming and parasitic forms. It is a protozoan, which means it only consists of one cell. Most protozoans are microscopic, and ick is microscopic for part of its life cycle, but it is visible and can be identified easily as white spots on the outside of the fish's body when it's in its parasitic stage of the life cycle. Ick starts out as a cyst attached to a surface in the aquarium, usually in the substrate. Inside the cyst, the ick cell starts dividing rapidly until there are over 1,000 parasites inside the cyst. Once it has finished replicating, the cyst breaks open to release the free-swimming parasites, which have to find a host fish within 48 hours. Once inside the fish, the parasite grows to 1 mm in size while feeding on the host and damaging it and weakening it. Once the parasite matures and is ready to reproduce, it punches its way out of the fish's skin and creates a new cyst, and the cycle repeats. This continues until the fish is weakened too much by this and dies, or the parasites are killed off. Ick can survive in both warm and cold water, but its life cycle will speed up the higher the temperature is. As to how ick gets into aquariums, there are two main ways that it infects fish. The first is if the aquarist gets a new fish that is infected with ick and introduces it into the aquarium. The ick then starts infecting and spreading to all the other inhabitants of the tank until it either kills all of them or is killed off by medication or other treatment. The other way that ick infects your tank is when it is living in your tank in small numbers, but starts to infect your fish and cause damage to them if they are too stressed or if the fish have a weakened immune system. The best way to prevent ick from getting into your aquarium is to buy only healthy looking fish and quarantining them before you put them into your main show tank. Also, try to make sure your fish aren't stressed out or have as little stress as possible by feeding them good food, doing water changes often, and keeping up on other maintenance. I will now go over how to treat ick in your aquarium, but first I'd like to say that I would not advise moving infected fish into a quarantine tank once you notice an infection, as it is best to assume that the entire tank has already been infected with ick, and you should just go ahead and treat the whole thing. Now that I got that warning out of the way, there are several ways to go about treating this disease. As I mentioned earlier, the speed ick goes through its life cycle depends on the temperature of the tank. For example, at 70 degrees Fahrenheit, ick goes through its life cycle in just 3 to 4 days. While at 50 degrees Fahrenheit, the life cycle can take up to 5 weeks. And the higher the temperature, the faster the life cycle goes. This is why when treating ick, it is recommended to raise your temperature to about 82 to 86 degrees, if your fish can handle it, of course. This is because the medications that I will be mentioning shortly only affect ick when it is in its free swimming stage, not when it is on the fish or when it's in its cyst form. And having the ick go through its life cycle faster will give the medicine more opportunity to kill off the ick. There are many different products available to treat ick, and most of them on the market right now have malachite green or methylene blue in them. Other medicines have copper in them, and while all three of these substances are effective at treating ick, copper will also kill any shrimp or snails you have in your aquarium. Two products I'd recommend are API Super Ick Cure and Hikari Ick X, but there are many other good medications out there. To treat ick with these medications, just get the medicines, raise your temperature, and follow the instructions, and as long as the outbreak isn't too advanced, your fish should be fine. Another way to treat ick is to use salt instead of medicine. Salt is a good alternative to ick medicine, as it is just as effective as the medication at killing the ick, and is more widely available than some of the medications I have mentioned. Salt is, however, dangerous to shrimp, snails, and plants if dosed at too large an amount. Salt should be dosed at either 1 tablespoon per 3 gallons, 1 tablespoon per 2 gallons, or 1 tablespoon per gallon, depending on how severe the outbreak is. Keep in mind that salt does not evaporate, nor can it be filtered out, so the only way to remove it from your aquarium is by doing water changes. That's all I have for you guys today. I hope this helped, and I hope you can prevent and treat ick in your aquariums in the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.